Don't fit now.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the mic.
Passed. No.
I guess I can't skip item 6, huh? No, item 6.
Item 6.
Okay,
Issue recognition.
Oh,
I guess I can't pass that.
No.
Mr. Chairman, you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the December 20th, 2021 Board of Supervisors meeting for Newtown Township. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Nee, or before I should announce that we were in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss 1 personnel and 3 legal matters. Mr. Neese, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Nawn,
Present.
Mr. Partridge.
Here.
Ms. Roberts Lightcap,
here.
Mr. Russo,
Here.
Mr. Altieri.
Here.
Your solicitor and manager are here.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. At this time, I'd ask if we could please bow our heads and let's have a moment of silence for the Dottie Jacobs family and everything that they're going through right now. Please rise, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have before us this evening's agenda. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as written.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there any questions or comments on the motion? I'm sorry, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Altieri, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Any further questions or discussions on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item number 6, resolutions.
Oh, you know what it is already?
Uh,
I have 2 Nigerian degrees.
Resolution number 2021-34. This is a recognition for John Nawn for his service to the township as a supervisor and chairman. Whereas Newtown Township recognizes and thanks John Nawn for his 10 years of service to the residents of Newtown Township as an elected township supervisor, having served 6 of the 10 years as chairman. And whereas John Nawn served faithfully and professionally to support and advance the mission of the township and was a dedicated stalwart for the best interest of the township. And whereas John Nawn has advocated for safer streets and more sidewalks to improve walkability throughout the township, as well as focus on improving the financial position of the township. And whereas John Nawn was instrumental in the advancement of and advocacy for the township sustainability initiative and master plans for the Meadow Preserve, Greer Park, Trail and Greenways. And whereas John Nawn served with passion and dignity as a liaison to the Leisure Services Board, as well as to the Fire Department and Emergency Medical Services, non-uniform personnel, and participated in the police contract negotiation. Now, therefore, the Board of Supervisors would like to recognize John Nawn and extend Newtown Township's gratitude for his faithful service to the community. Adopted this day, 20th day of December, 2021. That's my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. John, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You don't need to hug me.
Do you want us
Can I
out
rub
front
your-
so we can take our picture?
Yeah, we should.
Oh, boy. Oh, look at this.
Get your camera, Suze.
I didn't sign it.
Leonard's like, oh, good, I missed it. Picture for tomorrow.
I guess I'm giving you another one. too.
Let me come around.
This is the actual plaque.
You did a lot more than I ever did.
Oh, no, I don't.
But mine was like one sentence.
You want it out?
Sure.
I'm already halfway opening up your gift. So I might as well keep it going.
Keep over on Christmas too.
There you go, John, get the whole two.
Thank you.
Get it, get over there.
You hold that.
No, you put
There
it
you go.
there.
That's what we got. Okay.
Can't button your jacket there, Lenny?
Well, then it gets crumpled sometimes. Remember, we're still on live camera here, everyone. Watch your jokes.
Remember, we're live still.
Ready? 3, 1, 2, 3, go.
Steve, you want to get into this too?
Yeah, come on, Steve.
Come on, Joe. You
How about
No.
I don't need Joe.
Chief?
No.
Come on the other side. Come on.
Yeah, let the chief go up. He's
You're in
dressed.
uniform.
All right, guys, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, smile night.
Congrats again,
Thank
John.
you.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Good
It's
job.
been a pleasure. Couldn't have done it without you guys, man. So many people showed up.
Yeah, I know.
Tight back.
Thanks, folks. Wouldn't be possible without you and everything you guys have done to help make this possible. So I do appreciate everything. And it's been an honor and a privilege. So. All right, let's move on and get the meeting done. Payments. We have item 7.1, consider approving pay request number 8, which is the final payment for Glasgow Inc. in the amount of $18,330.75 for the 2020 road resurfacing as approved by the Township Engineer. This will begin the 12-month maintenance period. Would anybody like to offer a motion?
I moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is made by Supervisor Altieri, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap to approve item 7.1. Any further questions from members of the board? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 7.2, consider approving the $5,564 payment to Herpetological Associates, Inc. for a Phase II Bog Turtle survey associated with the Greer Park project. Would anybody like to offer a motion on that item?
I moved.
There's a second.
Second.
This is made by Supervisor Altieri, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap to approve item 7.2. Any further questions and discussions on that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I just would want to make note that that's not the full bill, but that's what the work they've completed so far.
Right.
There's still some more to do.
I thought that you had the information in there, so thank you. Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8, bills. We have 3 items. I'll put them into one motion. I had the opportunity before this evening meeting to review the bills on check register A dated today in the amount of $104,933.22. The bills on check register B dated today, the amount of $82,369. And the amount the bills on check register C dated also today in the amount of $18,330.75. And it is my motion that we approve all 3 of those items. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Any questions or discussions on the bills? Any questions or there's no general public? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, under new business, item 9.1, consider approving the unassigned and uncommitted fund balance as stated in the attached memo from the finance director. Mr. LaFiata, do you need to provide any guidance or is everybody clear with the memo? Any questions for Mr. LaFiata? If there's no questions, would anybody like to offer a motion?
I just wanted to be clear that he acknowledged he didn't need to say anything, just in case someone thought their microphone cut out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If there's no questions for Mr. LaFiata, would anybody like to offer a motion on this item?
So move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Altieri to approve item 9.1. Any further questions and discussions on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 9.2, consider approving the assigned and committed fund balance as stated in the attached memo from the finance director. And I trust everybody's had a copy to review that. This one's a little bit more lengthy. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. LaFiata on this item? If there's no questions, would anybody like to offer a motion on this item? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Altieri, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap to approve item 9.2. Any further questions and discussions on this item? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 9.3, authorize the township manager to engage the appraiser to have appraisals performed on the interested properties.
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion is made by Supervisor Altieri, seconded by Supervisor Russo. Any further questions and discussions on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, let's see if we can do 9.4 that quickly. Consider approving the 2022 budget. Trust everyone's had a chance to review the budget. Does anybody wish to have Mr. Neese or Mr. LaFiata go through it again? If not, do we have any discussion?
Yeah, discussion.
Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, so, so where we left off, advertised, the budget at, 1.3% tax increase, 1.7314 mils. In order to generate, $79,668 to balance the budget. Expenses were 10,492,117 and, the revenue side, we had 10,412,449. So we needed to balance. That's why we advertised that. My recommendation, I have the our fund balances. In our general fund balance, we have as of 12/31, 4,910,729. In the capital fund budget, we have $8,998,308. So my thought is we're in a pretty good fiscal position with those balances. And, for the small amount of $79,668, my suggestion would be just to take it from the 4.9 million fund balance and balance the budget at the current millage, which is 1.7089 mils. I have a resolution, but, just to be fair, across the board, before I would put that on the table, I don't know if there's further discussion between us, the board.
So your proposal is to have no increase and simply take the difference out of the fund balance.
Right, because we have a, fairly significant healthy fund balance here.
Any questions, comments from other board members on that?
Fund balances. by the way.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
That's the general fund, Mike, and here is the capital fund. General fund's up top. It has the other, street light balances and all that too. So what's in yellow?
Pass that to you. I give the letter.
It's us.
These guys.
Ah,
At
thanks.
the appropriate time.
Where are we in this agenda? Are we talking?
We're on 9.4. We're talking about Ed's proposal to eliminate any increase and simply take the difference from fund balance.
So I will say this, and I've had a conversation with Supervisor Partridge on this. I think that all of us can respect and understand that in this present economy, things are continuing to go up. You pump your gas, you get milk, you get bread, you get eggs, the prices are continually going up. And I think that it would be great if we as a board were to do something that would benefit the residents in a sense, quote unquote, that they would have a 0% tax increase for next year. But I think that it's also important, and while it's a nice soundbite and it's true, we do have very healthy reserves. We have the healthy reserves because of what this board has done in prior years and planning ahead to ensure that if something goes astray or goes wrong, we have the ability to rectify that, to continue to provide the services to our residents without them feeling any sort of interruption. The 1.317% tax increase for the average home, which the average home in Newtown Township is assessed at $500,000, it would be a total of 94 cents a month or $11.25 a year. So that's what that 1.317% tax increase would be. It would be $11.25 a year, or as I said, 94 cents a month. I think it's also important to note, because again, we all have talked about fiscal responsibility, fiscal conservatorship, and ensuring that we keep taxes to the lowest responsible that they can be. And I think that this budget does that. Yes, it calls for a tax increase. When we say fiscal responsibility and being conservative with monetary spending and monetary practices, it doesn't necessarily equate to a 0% tax increase. What it equates to is ensuring that we're not being reckless with our tax increases. And I think that this budget in particular does that with the 1.317% tax increase. And you look at the budget in itself, and this is the information that was presented to the board throughout the budget process. There are things in this that are going to be direct benefits to the residents. First and foremost is we have a police officer. I mean, that in itself is $139,000. We have contractual obligations of $126,000. Non-uniform COLA, $87,250. Our recycling contract alone that we are required by the state to provide that service, which I think we would do regardless of any sort of state requirement or not, $192,000. I mean, that is stuff that residents are going to see and residents are going to feel, in addition to the other things, such as the speed bumps, the speed tables, the rewrites that we're in the process of doing, the message board for speeders that we consistently get complaints about all the time. And then more importantly as well, the amount of money that we're putting towards paying down our debts, but also putting towards our road program. We have done an amazing job over the last 6 years of paving at least 27 miles of the 51 miles that we own here in the township. And I think that, you know, we can take the 79,000 because it is small, but then we have to remember that next year we're starting in the hole at 1.3%. We're not starting at a solid basis. And so I personally, do I want to see a tax increase? No, I don't want to see a tax increase. Nobody wants to see a tax increase, especially given this economy. But when you really boil it down and you look at what the overall dollar to cents is, like I said, it's 94 cents a month for the average house. The average house is assessed in this township at $500,000. Obviously, there's less, there's more, but the average house is 94 cents a month, coming to $11.25 a year. I think that the services that we provide to this township, ones that residents see on a daily basis, and ones that they don't see, to ensure that their government is continually running, that $11.25 is well spent for this year.
I'm going to, of course, agree with Mr. Altieri. As I say, every year, I think it's almost irresponsible for us not to pass a budget that has some type of increase, unless for some reason the cost of living doesn't go up each year, which in my lifetime, that's never happened. We pay more for just putting gas in our vehicles and things like that every year. You can't keep kicking that can down the road. We're looking at 10% inflation this year, probably, or at least a cost of living increase up to that. In prior years, it's been 2%. And we're sitting here talking about a 1.5 or 1.37% budget increase. That is being fiscally responsible. If you ask me, that we're not sitting here talking about a 10% increase. We are providing that litany of additional services that we didn't provide before that Mr. Altieri read, that there is nothing about this with the increase that is fiscally irresponsible. Yeah, I like the idea of no tax increase, but I've always supported that we have some form of tax increase so that when the day comes, and it might not be too far in the distant future, that when that day comes that we need that additional fund balance, that we have it there so we don't hit our residents at that point with a 10% tax increase. So yes, I think this is something that taxes go up every year. They need to go up every year. As long as we incrementally keep up with that, I think we are being fiscally responsible. So that's my thoughts. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts.
I mean, maybe I'll just throw another thing out there. And I don't think that we're being, it's a matter of being, fiscally responsible. I think we've done that. I think done a good job at managing expenses and, and spending the revenue. And, to Len's point, $12, and it's not really a matter of the $12. I mean, my thought is when you take these, the revenue and expenses of 10,492 or 10,412, the budget is based on imperfect information. I mean, it's not absolute. We don't know exactly where some of the items in the budget are going to come in. They come in higher, they come in lower. An example of this is over the past several years. We've actually been in the black for, I don't know how many years, 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know, but it's significant. So we always have more money than the budget allowed for each year. So with I agree with you guys that, we're being fiscally responsible, as John said. It's a small amount, as Len said. It's such a small amount that, historically we've been in the black. I mean, it just makes sense to me just to balance it. It's so small.
No, compare this year to last year, every time I go to the pump, I'm paying way more than $12 more to put gas in my vehicle, which means that every time we fill up a township truck, a fire truck, a police car, we're also paying $12 more at least at the pump to do that, to not at least to tell the residents that we're going to have a balanced budget. I think that is being fiscally irresponsible. Okay, we have to pay those costs at some point now or down the road. And I think by incrementally continuing every year to pay for those costs, we avoid having that big pain at some point in the future. So.
And to me, balanced is, and this is just an issue I have whenever anyone ever uses that phrase, balanced budget to me is not what we would be having tonight if we were to do this motion. Because your budget is not balanced for next year. You're starting again in a hole of 79,000 because you're not whole. Now, to Ed's point, yes, I hear what you're saying. There are definitely years we saw it right when the two of us were on the school district, and we see it here in the township, is that there are years where we have budget surpluses. But I think that it is better for this township to be running a surplus than for us to be in the opposite end of that spectrum. And I think that it is because market changes occur, it is nearly impossible for any institution, whether it's government or a household, to budget to the exact dollar cents. So, I think that we've been doing well at that here in the township. And again, I think that, again, never want to say, I disagree a little bit to what Mr. Nawn said in the sense of that, we should have a tax increase every year. But in this situation where we find ourselves, and it's such a minuscule tax increase of being, less than $12 a year. And the highest, if you are assessed at $1 million, you're looking at $22. So I don't really, and that's $22 a year, $1.88 a month. So it is minuscule.
On this, and not to belabor the point, but this economy right now is so erratic. And I think, I think we're all about, I know that we all have the same mindset with not spending more than we bring in, but it's also important, I think, when opportunities come up, like when we could help the fire company with the fire truck. That's definitely a benefit to the community, more ways than one, clearly. And, we just don't know, again, what the future is going to bring. And, we talk about open space when opportunities avail, that we can maybe purchase something that's open space. We've got that flexibility. And we don't touch the capital or the other funds without thought. And it's not there as a slush fund. It's there to help in case something happens.
Right. If there's no further discussion, there's a couple things we can do. Number one, we can entertain a motion from someone to approve the budget as it was advertised, or Mr. Partridge could offer his motion to approve the budget as he's amended it, or somebody could offer another motion to approve a different version of the budget. So what is the board's pleasure here?
I mean, with the discussion, I don't know if it really makes any sense for me to make that, make that motion. Do want to ask one question, Steve. Steve, since you've been township manager, in effect, has there ever been a year where we were not in the black? I don't think so.
My initial response is no. If there was any year, it may have been my first year, we were pretty close, but I think every year, I know every year since then, we've been in the black, and we may have even been my first year.
Right.
I don't recall, because my first year I was only here for the month of December. And so I really don't recall where we ended in December that year.
Fair
But from
enough.
15 on, I can say we've been in the black.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, it's not the 79,000 isn't like it's an absolute that we're voting on. I mean, the fund balance is your, it's your checking account, it's how you pay things. So all the revenue money will come on top of the 4.9 million in order to pay the bills. So, again, the 79 isn't this, it is somewhat arbitrary. And as you see, every year we've been in the black. So the budget's never been the budget that we vote on has never been the end result, at least since 2015. So, again, it's not much, it's not that we're not being fiscally responsible, but I mean, if it were an absolute number and, we were hitting the budget year after year, we're not. We're significantly in the black. Sometimes it's been, I think one year was like 20% or more in the black, which is significant. So, being involved, in managing budgets myself, which I've done for years, it just doesn't make sense to me to, even pass the small increase with considering the whole current situation. But anyway, so I'm not gonna make that motion. I don't really see support for it on the board. So I don't know if you want this.
I don't even know, what is that?
This is the one that was advertised.
Yeah, sure.
I think we need two separate actions. We need one to adopt the budget. And then the resolution that I think is being passed around, I assume that's what that is. The resolution would actually set the tax millage rate.
Yeah, that's
So we need two
37.
separate actions this evening.
This is 37.
we've got three motions we got to adopt. So I think let's approve the budget and then we'll do the three motions.
And then
Correct.
that was the
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, so
I think
what we need now is just a motion. If we're going to approve the budget as advertised, just a motion to approve the budget as advertised. And then we will get to the resolutions that actually approve the tax rate. Things
Can I
like
just make
that.
one more point? Because I hear exactly what you're saying, Ed, but I think it's important for the residents who are hearing this tonight or that are going to be watching this later on, that again, the difficulty with municipal budgeting, school district budgets, city budgets, as opposed to a household budget or any other budget with regards to any other entity in which someone might be working in, is that there are, especially in this township, major external situations that have given us the ability. It has not been through the planning of the budget and the adoption of that budget that have given us these surpluses. It's external factors such as all the development and the transfer of the real estate taxes. The interim transfer taxes. Thank you. The transfer taxes coming in. That is why you're seeing, the school district, more so the school district than the township. But with the permits that are being issued in this township, that is why we're seeing, I think it's consistent from presentation after presentation, is that's what we're hearing, is that the reason why at the end of the year, we have such a, quote unquote surplus, is because we have additional revenue that's coming in that we didn't budget for, because you can't budget for additional revenue. It's the same thing as if you were a household and all of a sudden you got a raise, you're going to have that additional money coming in. I just don't want people to think that we're raising taxes to raise taxes for tax's sake. Because at the end of the day, like I said, what's driving this budget is a response to what has been that has been raised in the strategic plan, but more importantly, and underlining is contractual. we have contractual obligations that I think it would be reckless for us to renege on, because again, at the end of the day, we're gonna have that budget hole. If we don't do it this year, we started off with next year. But I guess we are beating a dead horse. If you want to
But
get,
Len,
jump in.
just, no, just to be fair, to
Call
everybody.
for a motion.
The,
Let's get
the
this
reason
done.
that we've been black is that we've underestimated our revenue. We've underestimated, it's coming higher than what our estimates were. And this is one reason why I suggested, which Steve and Rich did, to increase the collection rate, to look at that historically and raise that. So we've underestimated revenue and we've overestimated expenses. So that's why we came into the black. So, it's not anything other than that. I mean, and if you look each year, you can look at, you look at your budget number for revenue and you look at where you came in and you say, well, we underestimated this much. And then you look at expenses, and not every year on the expense side, but that we've overestimated expenses. So that's why you come in black.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I, work with budgets, and
get it.
understand it. So it's,
But to piggyback off of Supervisor Altieri's point about the revenue, it was building permits, it was transfer taxes, which are done. I think we're at the peak of our building permits. And so we did not spend that money as it was a revenue. It was a revenue source, but it wasn't a tax revenue source. And so that money is not something that you can budget for, because you don't, they just pulled the permit for the 209 residential units of the apartment building. So that's a one-time charge. So I think we're going to see the end of a lot of this larger, what's the word I'm looking for? Surpluses because of that. So.
All right. Unless there's anyone else who wants to add anything, we good? All
Yeah,
right.
At this point, we just need a motion to approve the budget as advertised, if that's where you're going.
So I will consider approving the 2022 budget as advertised.
Is there a second?
Second,
Motion is made by Supervisor Altieri, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap to approve the 2022 budget as advertised. Any further questions or discussions on the motion? Mr. Neese, will you please do a roll call vote on this?
Yes. Mr. Partridge,
no.
Mr. Roberts Lightcap,
yes.
Mr. Russo,
No.
Mr. Altieri,
Yes.
Mr. Nawn.
Yes. We have 3 yeses and 2 nos.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, folks.
Do you want me to do the resolution to it too? Roll into it?
That's 2021-37.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have a motion to approve resolution 2021-37, a resolution of the Township of Newtown and the County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, fixing the tax rate for the tax year 2022. Be resolved and enacted that it is hereby levied on all real estate property within the Township of Newtown, that the tax rate for general purposes of 1.7314 mils on each dollar assessed evaluation, or the sum of $173.14 on each $100,000 of assesses. I guess it should be assessed valuation. The assessment for fire hydrants is 0.0325 mils on each dollar assessed valuation, or the sum of $3.25 on each $100,000 of assessed valuation, whether or not the property is exempt from taxation. The assessment for streetlights is 0.034 mils on each dollar assessed valuation, with a sum of $3.40 on each $100,000 of assessed valuation if located in a streetlight district, whether or not the property is exempt from taxation. Adopted this 20th day of December 2021. That is my motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Motion is made by Supervisor Altieri, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap to approve item 11.2. This is resolution 2021-37, setting the township millage rate. Any further questions and discussions on the motion?
Roll call.
Mr. Neese, would you do a roll call vote again, please?
I will. There's 11.2, correct?
That's correct.
Ms. Roberts Lightcap,
yes.
Mr. Russo, Mr. Altieri,
I
Again,
understand that there are 3 yeas and 2 nays, so that motion carries.
yes.
All right, thank you. Let's go back up to item 11.1. This is consider approving resolution 2021-36, adopting the emergency operations plan. Mr. Russo, I believe you have that.
Resolution 2021-36 Emergency Operations Plan. Whereas section 7503 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code 35 PA C.S. Section 7101 sequence mandates that Newtown Township prepares, maintain, and keep a current emergency operations plan for the prevention and minimization of injury and damage caused by a major emergency or disaster within a township. And whereas in response to the mandate stated above, Newtown Township has prepared an emergency operations plan to provide prompt and effective emergency response procedures to be followed in the event of emergency, major emergency or disaster. And whereas Newtown Township has also prepared an emergency operations plan in order to reduce the potential effects of an major emergency or disaster and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Newtown Township. Now it therefore be resolved, we, the undersigned supervisor of Newtown Township, do hereby approve and adopt the state endorsed emergency preparedness plan as a foundation of Newtown Township's plan, with the understanding that the appendices and annexes will be kept up to the date by the emergency management coordinator and in place in the immediate effect to the emergency operations plan Newtown Township. This plan shall be reviewed every 2 years and make certain that it conforms to the requirements of Delaware County Emergency Operations Guide, adopted this 20th day of December 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Which was made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap to approve resolution 11.1, or I'm sorry, item 11.1, approving resolution 2021-36, adopting the emergency operations plan. Any further questions and discussions on the motion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just say, you approved the plan at the last meeting. Just wanted to let you, just in case somebody's wondering why we're
adopting it.
doing, we had to have a resolution that goes in the book and gets sent to the state. And so that's what the purpose of this is.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussions on this item? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 11.3, resolution 2021-38, adopting the 2021 fee schedule.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2021-38, 2022 fee schedule, resolution to approve township fee schedule. Whereas from time to time, the Board of Supervisors of the Township of Newtown, Delaware County, Pennsylvania reviews and revises various fees for services provided by the township. Now therefore, in consideration of the above, the Board of Supervisors of the Township of Newtown hereby resolve as follows. 1, the Township of Newtown's comprehensive fee schedule attached to this resolution as Exhibit A is approved. 2, the Township Administration is directed to make this fee schedule available to the public and charge fees for the services consistent therewith. Resolved this 20th day of December 2021. That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Partridge to approve resolution 2021-38, which adopts the 2021 fee schedule. Any further questions or discussions on the motion? I'm sorry, 2022 fee schedule.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, I just want to real quick give you a quick update just on the fees that changed, just so that everybody's aware,
Sure.
particularly for those that are home. On your first page of the fee schedule, under rental unit registration, we made a slight adjustment. We did 2 things. The first unit we took to 65, it was 50. We took it to 65 for the registration, and we put in something that was very similar to what we did under contractor's license. If there was a new rental after September 1st, we gave it for 50. So we did that and did that. The only other changes that were on the fee schedule were under administrative staff, under police officer staff for use of police officers, and under public works staff. If somebody's using that staff, we made it match what the pay rates will be for 2022. Everything else is the same.
Do I have any questions for Mr. Neese?
I have a question on the rental unit.
Yes.
So are they expected yearly or when there's a change of person. So if you rent a unit, someone's there 6 months, another person comes in 6 months. Is it like a change of CO? Do we inspect it twice?
We do not. So currently, the way it was set when the rental inspections was passed was that a unit would be inspected once every 5 years. The staff is going to make a recommendation to you in January that we change that to be at the time of change of,
Yeah.
at the time of the change of the resident, because
It has to be.
we had it set that the unit would, whoever was the owner would do a self-inspection and send us the inspection. We have received 0 in the last 5 years. So we believe that we need to go back and change that. And then the recommendation would be to do that. And then if the tenant doesn't change in 5 years, we would do the inspection on 5 years at that point.
Well, I think we need to change this, that it's a change of tenant and at least yearly. The rental units. I
Okay,
mean, my house that I rent gets inspected yearly. They come in and check the smoke detectors, check the fire extinguisher, and check whatever they're supposed to check. We should be doing the same thing here.
okay. Well, we can start working on that.
Well,
And
we should get it done sooner than later.
Andy and I have it on our list to start in January. So
That'd be great. Thank you.
Motion was made and seconded. Any further questions or discussions on the motion? All those in favor of adopting the 2022 fee schedule, resolution 2021-38, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have no additional business listed under item 13, board comment. Would any board members like to make any comment?
I have a question. So for the people that don't pay taxes, how do we charge them for police services and fire services? Municipal services that we do give them? We don't? Like Episcopal, for instance, how do they pay for
so
fire service and police service?
So Episcopal has what they call a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes. And they give us $10,000, is that right, Rich? $10,000 a year, specifically in their land development plan. It called for that. And it states in the land development plan that that's to be used for fire services. We give the fire service, I think it's close to 220,000, 230,000.
Does that ever adjust for inflation?
It has not.
That's consistent with a lot of pilots, though. A lot of pilots they're just,
Yeah, but
I don't disagree with you. I'm just telling you, that's what
we
they,
need to look at that.
I
mean-
believe Mr. Catania is looking at
Yeah, we gotta look at
We're,
that.
we're taking a look at, as a whole on pilots. We have 3 in town.
What are the other two?
urban swim.
The swim club and the
I mean,
was it the Presbyterian Church? No, which,
I'm not so much worried about a church. I mean, I'm more worried about something like that where there's a lot of people on that campus. There's
it. Yes.
there's a lot of
There's a lot of
interaction with us.
services.
There's a lot of services
events,
they're
there's a lot-
getting. A church where people usually go on a Sunday,
no, I understand.
one day a week.
Right.
It's kind of different.
Sure.
Or synagogue or whatever. But like, this is a full-time campus. It's there 9 months a year, and there's a lot of services, police services, municipal services. I mean, we need to look at that. I don't know that $10,000 covers us doing do that. And however we have to look at that, we should investigate. I'm not saying we have to change it. I think we should investigate and see what it really is costing us to give them those services.
I would just say that we've been having this conversation with the solicitor, and we're looking at it broadly,
Okay.
saying that there are even other
I mean, there's other
organizations.
people I don't know about. I don't
There's
know
other
if what they're
organizations
saying
in
is-
town that we think ought to be a part of that as well.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other board comment?
I do. So I just want, I mean, look, obviously, I have the reputation of one who loves to speak, but I think it's
No.
I think it's warranted for 2 things. One, because it's your last meeting, so I want to hold you as long as I can, but 2,
Thanks.
because it's actually about you, right? So I just wanted to thank you, John, for the last 10 years here in Newtown Township. It's no secret, right? I came from not being a fan of John Nawn to being a good fan of John Nawn, and getting to know him really well, especially over the last 6 years. And then more importantly, over the last 2 years, I became a fan of him well before I came on this board. I should probably clarify that. But over the last 2 years, we've obviously had our battles. And the one thing that has been consistent throughout is your ability to manage all four of us, your ability to continue to make sure that the interests of this township are above all, and in working with whoever it is to make sure that the objectives of the administration and this board are carried out in a professional and equitable manner. And so, while I look forward to seeing Catherine join this board, I will certainly miss you, your insight, and quite frankly, your guidance on a lot of things. I mean, I think that this board professionally is one of the most diverse boards that we have here in Delaware County. And I think that it served the residents very well for a very long time. And I think that even though we'll have two lawyers on this board, we won't slow things down too much, and that it'll continue to function forward. So thank you, John. Enjoy your retirement from public office, and know that you did it well.
Thank you, Mr. Altieri. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And it's been my pleasure to work with all of you, which I would consider the best elected municipal body in Delaware County, if not the entire state. You guys have been great to work with. And as Ed would say, when it related to finance, I've worked with a lot of boards in my time, a lot of municipal boards, a lot of zoning hearing boards. And we, you guys really are the best to work with that I've ever worked with in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, or Delaware. So thank you, folks. Any other board comment?
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
John.
Thank you.
And I want to say that I met John as a running mate,
Yes.
You're right.
and I knew of him. I didn't know him, and I got to say, I think he's been fair to both the residents and to the board when we had discussions, and I appreciate his knowledge on his expertise that he's brought to the table many times.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. With that, any comments from the members of the general public? All right, there's no minute.
All your fans.
Seeing
showed up.
none. I see my fan club attended tonight. Thank you. Yes. Again, it's been my honor and privilege to serve. I appreciate everything. I thank the board. I thank the staff, again, the best staff to work with. I think you guys are excellent, and the residents should be very thankful to all of you for everything that you do every day. Couldn't have done it without you all. And what can I say? It's been an honor and a privilege. The Board of Supervisors of Newtown Township will reorganize on January 3rd, 2022. On behalf of the staff and the board, Merry Christmas, and may the new year exceed all your expectations. We're adjourned. Hoorah.